What's your opinion on not only the placement of the World Cup in terms of location, but the time of year that it's been switched to this year?
I think it's not. Look, everything that we know about this World Cup is it's not good for the football season. We're going to have a condensed season because of the World Cup. There are loads of conversations that should have probably happened before the World Cup was awarded to Qatar. There are so many things. And you could drive yourself mad having those conversations. And some people would suggest that I should do that. But for me, sports, football in particular, is actually my escape.
Right.
It's actually, so what I'm going to try and do, I appreciate that all of those conversations should have happened. Should it have been awarded to Qatar? Probably not. But that's where it is. Should it be in December? Probably not, but that's when it is. And now I intend to fully embrace and have a brilliant World Cup. I love tournament football, lads. I love it so much. Prior to my kid being born, I went to 5 tournaments at some point, not the full tournament. I went to 5 tournaments in a row. I went to Brazil for the full month. I went to France for the full month, despite England's pitiful performance in both. Like, you know, I was in Brazil for a month, and England were in the tournament for 2 games. It was a new low for English football. We didn't even have to play our 3rd game. We were out before we even kicked a ball in the 3rd group game. It was pathetic. But I was there for the month, and I thoroughly love and almost revolve, but certainly before my daughter came along, I would revolve my year around a tournament. I'm not prepared to just sacrifice. I'm not prepared to. I'm not going to go to this World Cup on principle or whatever. And maybe I should. Maybe people will judge me for that. But when the World Cup comes along, I desperately want England to win it. I'll be listening to New Order on a loop. I'll have a bucket hat on, and with a bit of luck, I'll be in Qatar.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good way to look at it. I'm kind of in a similar boat of, I know once the World Cup comes around, I'll definitely watch it and enjoy it and appreciate it still. But as you said, there's obvious issues with it and how it's come about. I think there's been a few things like that in football in the last few years. Obviously, there was the Super League that fans revolted against and managed to stop that from happening at all. But I do think that the World Cup is something where it could have been a similar case, but the powers that be it was never going to happen. Once it had been awarded to Qatar, that was it. What do you think in terms of England's chances at this year's World Cup then? When you're watching it, do you think we're going to have a good tournament? Do you think we're going to make it to the final again like we did in the Euros, or it's not going to be as simple this time?
No, we won't. We don't have a chance. We don't have a prayer. I think that the team are good enough. The team are probably the best team. They will be the best 23 players to go to the tournament will be English overall. The best, like, I'm not saying that's the best first 11, but the best depth will be English. Look at who doesn't get into the England team. Like, genuinely, if you want to think about how good this England team are, you've got at right back, you've got the geezer that won La Liga last year, the year before. You've got the Trent Alexander-Arnold, probably the best of the lot, probably doesn't start for England. You've got the geezer that won the league in England, and the one that will start won the European Cup the year before.
Yeah.
That's how good England's right back is. You know what?
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, there would have been a time when basically if you were Man United's right back, you played for England. Man United's right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, would be about seventh choice right back. That's how good this England team are in depth.
The only shame is that the Man United captain will probably also be playing for England at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely will. He definitely will. This is the problem again, and this is why I say that we have no chance of winning it, because there is no meritocracy to this squad selection. I can tell you the team that will start against USA now.
Yeah, it is a pretty obvious selection with Southgate.
It's truly ridiculous. So I don't think we have a chance, but I also think that this is the golden generation. I'm old enough to remember the golden generation that they called the golden generation. You know, the team that went to 2002.
I was barely around then, right, so I'll know of the players, but I won't know them too well. The team that went to 02 was seen as a golden generation. It was seen as being an elite team, and of course it was. You know, it was a very gifted team, a team that could have done more, probably should have done more. David Beckham in his pomp. That team beat Argentina. We beat Argentina out in Japan. It was a really good team, and it was certainly seen as being one of the best that England have ever assembled. This team is better than that. Not necessarily the first 11, because I think the first 11 of that 2002 was top draw. But this team is comparable. But in terms of the bench, just to put it out there, like this team that I'm talking about being elite, it was bloody Danny Mills at right back, you know, whereas we think about England's team now. So
So this is, for me, an actual golden generation.
No, I completely agree. I think with the talent we have, and especially the fitness within the team nowadays as well, compared to a lot of other nations, everyone playing in top leagues around the world, whereas some nations don't have the same privileges that they might have some playing. Of course, the Portuguese league is good, and like the Brazilian leagues and stuff are okay, but most of our team pretty much play in the Premier League, which in my opinion is the greatest league in the world.
Yeah, well, it is. If you just look at how many English teams get to the European Cup final year after year, we had an all English Cup final 2 years ago, Liverpool in it this year. It just is. It's not an opinion anymore. Like when you say that, you sometimes look slightly conceited, but I don't think it is conceited anymore. The English league has actually become the Super League.
Yeah, it's kind of worrying to me. In like compared to the rest of the leagues in the world, I feel like the Premier League might take over a little bit too much.
Yeah,
like I don't want it to get boring, the European competitions. Of course, there's always going to be Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, but at what point can they keep up with our like TV right money, etc.?
I don't think they can. Also, you've got to remember, like, look at the Bundesliga. We send our kids to the Bundesliga, like the way we used to treat the Championship. Like,
yes,
Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham, go. You're not quite good enough for the Premier League yet. Go and perfect your craft, then we'll bring you back. Erling Haaland, go and perfect your craft, then we'll bring you back. The best players in the Bundesliga, Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, right? We're going to buy you. Like that demonstrates the power of the Premier League.